Greetings to you. I've been making videos all night long, and I'm starting to feel like I'm disintegrating. It's gonna be time for bed soon. It's later than I thought. I've just changed some camera settings, so hopefully I can get a longer video out of this with a smaller file size. But I have a video topic I want to do that some might say is long overdue. Some of my teacher, facilitator type people would say it's been time for this since shortly after COVID began. So this is a video discussing online cuddle parties, what's been going on, how they've been going, what to expect, and maybe if I'll think about running some at some point soon. When I had one of our teachers ask me the other day, kind of going over how would I describe things, what is a cuddle party, and then what has changed with online cuddle party. When I talk about cuddle party, the live ones, I usually refer to it as a consent, boundary, and communication workshop with optional nurturing platonic touch. Some people attend for the sole purpose of learning to say no and getting more comfortable with saying no. Some people really want to experience platonic nurturing touch with others, and some people distinctly don't want to be touched and they're there to practice that. Some people are curious. There's many reasons why people would attend. And it's a fun mix. I would say in my experience most of the time it's people looking for nurturing platonic touch. A lot of people who've gone before. Someone just joined our training who I actually met, and he attended the event where my dad went as well. And there's some interesting stories there that I might get to another time. One of the questions sometimes asked is, who here has ever had difficulty saying no to something they didn't want to do? Or maybe not even, maybe said yes, even though they wanted to say no. Most hands go up. And then what about who has ever not said yes to something that they did want? Maybe they didn't feel worthy of it, or maybe they thought the person offering didn't really want to give it. I mean, there is this thing in a culture I remember learning about called tarofing, where it's customary if you're offered food, you're supposed to refuse it 3 times before accepting. And so it's the host's responsibility to offer it 3 times, or 4, to give you that opportunity to play that out. It's interesting, but if you don't know that culture, it can be quite problematic. And as we gain more people in the world with autism and any other type of configuration where they might not read social cues, or they might not be as aware of that type of scenario, how about we just say what we mean and offer what we want to offer, not what we feel obligated to offer, and accept if we want to or not. And then how about we get used to saying no, and we don't feel bad about it, and we don't worry that we have to be responsible for someone else's emotions if they don't like our answer. That's another thing. A lot of people that come to Cuddle Party know that they have difficulty feeling responsible for other people's emotions. This could be from the way they were raised, people in their family who put them in that scenario where it was their job to take care of someone else's emotions, even though that's not really one's responsibility in a balanced situation. So, for a lot of people, the big thing of Cuddle Party is the platonic nurturing touch. One of the rules is, as long as you ask before and get consent before doing everything, you can begin cuddling pretty much immediately. So they don't miss out on cuddle time with the 1-hour welcome circle, just so they have to, in case they're already used to it, just to let everyone else get up to speed. So the veterans can begin, and that works out nicely. So what happens in a world where we can't be close to each other physically, we can't really be touching safely for our health? Does Cuddle Party just disintegrate and go down the drain? And no, it does not. They quickly moved online. Both of our teachers have led the online cuddle parties, and especially one of them has been doing it regularly, about twice a month. Once on a Sunday, once on a Tuesday. And they've been encouraging me to also join. I've practiced making Eventbrite events. I have already run a practice, what's it called? A review cuddle party in real life, right before lockdown, on the anniversary of Cuddle Party, on Leap Day last year. And I've been thinking about running online ones, and here's how they can be different. I've gone to several, and so each leader is going to have a different flavor and slightly different elements. There are certain elements that make it a cuddle party, and the rest are kind of up to the discretion of the facilitator. So our facilitator / teacher, who I've gone to his events the most, most of it is guided, and most of it is within ourselves. So we ask our left hand, like our right hand might want touch, and we ask our left hand to, give the touch, and then our left hand asks for touch, and we notice, like, which do we notice more, the hand that's being touched or the hand that's doing the touching? And you'd think, well, they're both my hands, don't they have the same amount of receptors and all that? But it's interesting when you observe these types of things. Additionally, asking yourself, like, maybe my wrist is asking my right hand for a massage, and then asking within yourself, does my hand consent to giving my wrist a massage? Does it want to? Is it willing to, even if it might not desire it? Like, and noticing how much is the desire of the wrist to be massaged, and how much does the hand want or not want to do it? Like, some people get sore wrists, but I don't really see many people massaging their wrists. But I could see, like, up here having more desire to squeeze and work out tension. And so it's just interesting to think about consent within yourself, because no other person is involved, and maybe your muscles are really, really, really sore and they really, really could benefit from it, but your hands are tired and they don't really want to, but maybe they're willing. But again, having that awareness will help us when we are dealing with other people, because within ourselves, we're not really going to do much damage choosing to do something that our hand doesn't want to do to our own arm. But that same notion is very different when another person is involved, where we might be, massaging their arm because they asked us to, when we really, not only do we not want to because our hands are tired, it's more than our hands are tired. We are not comfortable with them. We don't want to be around them, but we're scared to say no. So that's where it's different. I haven't met too many people that are uncomfortable with their own arm. Like, their hand might be tired, but their hand's not usually like, ugh, arm, you're so creepy. So that's an interesting exercise. We also sometimes have done eye gazing at various workshops, including at Cuddle Party, which looks like an adult version of a staring contest. And by adult, I don't mean anything inappropriate. I just mean less laughter and less, I won. But, you're gazing into someone's eyes. And some people, even as adults, will still feel awkward and look away. But it's very interesting. It can be very connecting. Some people might think, oh, I would only want to do that with someone really close to, like a really close friend or someone. But it's interesting to do it with strangers. There are some videos on YouTube where I think part of it is they just look into each other's eyes for a few minutes and they feel very connected, and it kind of seems to build empathy. I see it having a lot of benefits, and it's something that you could do no matter what language you speak. You don't have to speak the same language to be able to connect that way. It's also shown in another exercise as part of it. Either way, it can be very connecting and interesting. And so you think, well, how could you possibly do that over Zoom? Because if I'm looking at my camera and you're seeing me in the camera, then I'm not seeing your eyes. In this case, if I look over to the camera, then I'm not looking like I'm looking directly at you. Even more noticeable when it's on Zoom, I'm also exaggerating it. So, whereas in person, you're looking at each other at the same time, over Zoom, one person looks into the camera and offers their eyes. The other person receives the other person's gaze, and And I like to add in the invitation that the person offering their eyes also offers positive wishes for the other person, like, you are a loved human being. I am spiritual, and I like to include, I like to be around communities where I can talk freely about God. So I would say, imagine, think to them, they are a child of God. God loves them. Let the love of God flow through you to them. You don't have to know them. You don't have to particularly like them, but we generally agree God loves them, so let that love flow through to you. And what's so interesting is that can be felt in person. It can be felt even over such distances. It can be hard to believe that you could feel it from across the other side of the world. But if it has been proven that a mother distanced from her baby by thousands of miles might have a milk letdown and then find out the baby had just cried back at home, how would she know that? It's not like she's on the... I mean, if she was on the phone, that would make sense. But she could be completely separated, and yet that connection is still there. So it seems more and more, the more people practice this, the more we are realizing these types of connections can... like, they're not bound by time and space. They're not lessened by going across space. What I find an extra bonus of the online eye gazing, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking to stare right into someone's eyes where you're both looking at each other, and so you can kind of be wrapped up in your own nervousness, and that it can be difficult to send them heavenly love because you're worried about, oh my gosh, they're looking at me, I'm nervous. And as you're sending, it's harder to be receiving at the same time. So the benefit of only one person giving at a time, as you're just looking into the camera, you're not nervous because no one's staring right at you. So you can just focus on giving, cycling the love, giving, and just have kind of like a one-way flow. Then when it's your time to receive, you can focus on just receiving. Like, yes, I am loved, I am seeing this. And also knowing neither of you are having that kind of awkwardness of instantly looking each other's eyes. What's also neat is you could have one person in the group willing to give the whole group their eyes, and then whoever wants to can receive, and then the ones who don't want to can just observe. This works in small groups, like one-on-one. You could have small groups where two people, one person wants to give, one person wants to receive, one person wants to just observe and not participate. But then they also have the option, once the giver's eyes are on screen, the observer could choose to receive them. So it's very neat. It helps when the eyes are well lit, because, if it gets dark, it's harder to look into them. But it's a wonderful practice. We go over the rules of Cuddle Party, the regular rules. And we're soon going to have kind of a structure from one of the teachers about how they do theirs, and we'll still have the ability to add things in. Something I have been really interested in doing, and it finally occurred to me, I can combine them. I don't have to do these as separate workshops. As I mentioned, especially a lot of females have been trained to be acquiescing, to not say no, because, especially if it's to a guy, that might make them angry. And if they're angry, you might be in danger or feel in danger. So if a guy says, like, oh, are you interested in talking more? What she really wants to say is, no, I don't want to talk to you ever again. But what she might say is, oh, well, maybe, I'm kind of busy though, so I'm not sure, and the guy's probably not getting the message most of the time. So this is a great opportunity to practice these things and to get more comfortable with saying no and not worrying about the repercussions. I feel like there was another point though. Oh, yes. So I wanted to run a workshop where I really wanted to think of women in my church, maybe especially younger women who haven't had as much life experience in practicing saying no, get together, and as many people that want to participate come in with a scenario they've experienced where they had difficulty with this. Let's say, as I sort of alluded to, there's a guy who wants to talk to you and you don't want to talk to him, but you're afraid to say that. So we role play. Someone volunteers to be the guy, And then the girl rehearses various ways of responding to that guy. Like going back in time and maybe demonstrating what she actually said, what maybe didn't work so well. Then maybe trying something else. Maybe even trying being like the most rude version she can think of. Like, no, I don't want to talk to you. Get out of my face. Get that phone out of my face. Nacho Libre reference if you're not familiar. And then maybe the group has some ideas of how she could also respond. So then they could rehearse that as well and put all these into muscle memory so that they have this hopefully more easily accessible next time they're in a situation like that. And then additionally, everyone who's watching can also kind of put that in the back of their mind and tuck it away for later, and also notice how they felt watching. Maybe when the girl felt she was super duper rude, maybe the observer was like, that's not rude, that's just telling him like it is. And I feel like as we come together in a community, we're going to learn from each other, learn for ourselves how to better handle things, and feel so much more empowered, infinitely more empowered. So I thought that could be a really fun and useful part. And I was even thinking, well, especially as I begin, I don't want to necessarily make it just girls because that cuts who's going to attend in half. So what would happen if we invited guys? Well, there are some guys who would need practice saying no, but since it seems like guys have a difficult time hearing no, what if we asked the guys who is willing to be the boundary pusher who doesn't take a hint and doesn't take no very well and get to hear, no, thank you, I'm not interested. No, I don't want to talk to you. No, I don't want to. What's that song? No, I don't want your number. No, I don't want to give you mine. And no, I don't want to meet you nowhere. No, I don't want none of your time. No. I think there could be benefit for that too. Even if they're not certain that benefits them, they can be giving service by offering to roleplay. And because a roleplay is often more safe feeling than real life, it's like a laboratory to try things out. That's another thing Cuddle Party is often described as a laboratory to practice these skills. Because if you don't have these skills built up and you're in front of that boundary pushing guy who wants your number but you don't want to talk to him, he might have experience. He might just have a lot of pushing boundaries that are going to just bowl you over. If you can practice it where you're safe and you're not actually having to deal with them, you're going to learn much more effectively. You're going to be relaxed to where you can take in the information. So these are some of my plans, and I would really love to know who wants to join us for this journey. I would probably be much more likely to bring this to life more quickly if I knew, okay, 20 people are really enthusiastic, they will totally come if they can make it, and 10 of them can probably attend on X day. Because as much as I love making on-demand courses, a lot of this is best done live. So there are probably more things I could say. In some of the Cuddle Parties, people sort of go through what they would experience in real life, and they do the best they can to recreate that experience. Like they might say, okay, Janine, are you willing to cuddle with me? Could I put my head on your shoulder? Will you wrap your arm around me? And so they might try to imagine they're doing that and wrap their own arms around themselves. And it looks like, oh gosh, that's silly. What are you, hugging yourself? But it's amazing how when you have someone in front of you saying, yes, I'm willing to cuddle with you platonically, give you some nurturing touch virtually, that yeah, it's not their hand, yes, it's your own. But, especially if you close your eyes, I thought one of our trainers said something about your brain knows it's your hand, not theirs, but your skin doesn't tell much of a difference. The only difference it would know is the unpredictability of not knowing what comes next. Like, it knows where your hand is going to put itself next. But again, with Cuddle Party, you ask before everything. So if I say, can I put my hand on your arm, and you say yes, I can't go like this just because you said I can put my hand on your arm. I have to then ask, like, can I rub your arm in a circle? That's different consent. And everything goes step by step. So certain people that lead cuddle parties offer that, where people can ask each other. They can go to breakout rooms, either in small groups or whatever. And then, but in the ones I've mostly attended, there's not as much of that. It's more internal work. And I see a lot of benefit. And what's so cool is you can now go to cuddle parties anywhere in the world. You don't have to trek anywhere, schlep anywhere, go out in the cold. And as much as hygiene is very important in a live cuddle party, it's not nearly the same amount of importance when you're in your own home, since there's no smell-o-vision. And so you can kind of, in a sense, be more yourself. You can have access to your blankets and your stuffed animals and all kinds of stuff. So that's what's on deck. You can certainly start attending them as you find them on Eventbrite especially, and on cuddleparty.com. You don't have to wait for mine to manifest, but mine, I just shared my intentions for my personal flavor when they should come to fruition. So that's a bit about Cuddle Party. And I hope that you will find the value and attend and work on your skills of setting, enforcing, and respecting boundaries. On one of my workshops, I call it ICE. Identifying what your boundaries are, communicating your boundaries, and then enforcing them. Very important. Boundaries make the world go round and make it a more peaceful place.